phone and
Oh, she.
Whenever you're ready.
Vote or no?
learn how to use it.
Or she can watch. Can't participate.
Notice of this meeting was given to all board members and associates in a meeting notice dated July 11th, 2022. Furthermore, on that date, a copy of such notice was sent to the Times, the Trentonian, and the Clerk of the Township of Hamilton. It was also posted on the bulletin board at the entrance to the boardroom in Hamilton Square Administrative Building. Please rise for the flag salute. I don't think it was.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One year it was like one word, and the other year was.
And is that what they call roll?
Hate this chair. Dr. McSheen. Thornton.
Here.
Mr. Salantano.
Here.
Dr. Farrar.
Here,
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Ms. Harvey.
she's away.
Mr. Kanka.
Here.
Kelly. Here. Lombardo.
Here.
Motion passes.
What motion?
Can I get a motion to enter into exec?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
Whereas NJSA 10:4-13 requires adoption of a resolution of the board to go into executive session, be it resolved that the board pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, New Jersey Title 18A, and the Hamilton Township Board of Education bylaw number 0166 hereby enters executive session to discuss a matter involving human resource matter, labor matters, matters falling under the attorney-client privilege. Be it further resolved that the minutes of this executive session shall be made public following formal action by the board and/or at the conclusion of any investigations, due process proceedings, or litigation, so long as not prohibited by law and so long as the need for maintaining confidentiality no longer exists.
What is-
Where are we going?
We're gonna get started. We're gonna start with our superintendent report.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Just checking, getting the audio up. Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. There you go. I have a couple items for the superintendent's report. Since our last meeting, we've actually experienced some loss of several staff members and a graduate. I'd like to take a moment and ask you to join me in a moment of silence for three individuals. Michael Mancini was a fourth grade teacher at Sunnybray for 18 years. He passed away earlier this month. Patrick Woodhead was a custodian for the last year at Klockner, who passed away earlier this month. And Richie Kramer was a graduate of Steiner who passed away last week. Richie is the son of former board member Jen Kramer and Hamilton Fire Chief Richard Kramer. Would you please all join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. A few other items that I have. Over the last month, there has been a lot of construction, repairs, and upgrades happening in our district. I know Mr. Kanka in his facilities committee will report out on that. The overall point of this is that those projects at this moment are on time. I know that's hard to believe when it comes to construction, but those projects are moving along nicely. School security. It's a topic on everybody's mind. It's the key topic here that we focus on every day. On a consistent basis, and since our last Board of Education meeting, reminders have gone out about following our security protocols, and myself and others have stopped by buildings to see if those protocols are being followed. We will continue to train and retrain our faculty and staff, do site visits, work with our first responders, and address issues as we see them or learn of them. Some of the most important things that we can do as a community are as follows. The motto, see something, say something. If it doesn't look right, it doesn't sound right, it doesn't feel right, say something. I'd like to highlight a few items on tonight's Board of Education agenda. Transportation bids are in, and like everything, the cost is up much more than anyone could anticipate. Those increases are being felt in districts across the state, and here, at this point, we anticipate an increase somewhere near $5 million. We continue to actively recruit and hire. This is an all-day, everyday activity for us here, and we are addressing staffing shortages that are being experienced in education and other industries. A recent report came out that said the number of education graduates from New Jersey colleges had decreased to around 3,000 future teachers. This is far below the demand across the state. That being said, we continue to fill vacancies. Tonight, you will also see recommendations for administrative positions in our district. We will also have two presentations tonight, the mandated biannual SSDS presentation and the end of year presentation for the DCR committee. An item not on the agenda tonight, and I'm going to repeat this, an item not on the agenda tonight, but I want to make a quick comment about is the health standards. The board is not approving anything related to those standards tonight. The C&I committee will report out their work, their progress moving forward, and the involvement of other committees on the board. That being said, the C&I committee, the full Board of Education, and the administration take their responsibilities seriously when it comes to programs, instruction, etc. I believe tonight's C&I report will clearly address such. I'd like to recognize the technology department for the work that they are doing to prepare devices for students in September. They unboxed, cased, and scanned 950 new Chromebooks in one day. So great job to our tech department. July and August are very busy months for our custodians, our grounds, and our maintenance personnel. I'd like to thank them for their hard work in preparing our schools for September. And please, if you see them, thank them. It's 100 degrees today. They're out there working. They're making our buildings look beautiful, and they appreciate when you recognize their hard work. During the month of August, we will continue with our pop-up schoolhouse events. So far, we have events scheduled at Robinson on August 3rd, Wilson on August 9th, Cooser on August 18th, Greenwood on August 31st. Some of you know we used the pop-up schoolhouse model when we were coming out of COVID so that we could reconnect with our students and our community. You do not have to be a parent or a student from those schools to attend those events. There will be administrators there, there will be teachers there, there will be supplies there, there will be tables to fill out forms for technology, for lunch, all different things that'll be out there and resources for our community. This month, we began summer learning acceleration in all of our schools. We're using our ESSER funds. In addition, we will also launch our Jumpstart to Advanced Placement, Jumpstart to Algebra 1, and ESL tutoring programs in our district. Our summer PD offerings have also started this month. The district is currently offering over 25 workshops for staff. Yesterday's school-wide reading series training was a true success. Over 40 of our teachers were in attendance during the summer months. Summer camp is in week 3, and we have over 330 of our students who have or will take part in summer camp program. It's great to see our students back and our students enjoying the activities and programs. Finally, I'd like to close with a reminder that some people know and other people this is new information to. Nationwide, number 988 is a suicide and crisis helpline for people in need. You can access it on your phone by dialing 988 and talking to a person on the other end of the line. You can text somebody 988 and they will respond and communicate with you, and they will provide help and resources and talk to you in a time of need. You may not be the person in need, but what I ask you to do is please pass it on. As a community, we can share this information that may help a family member, a neighbor, a friend, a community member, or a random person. No matter who that person is, help is just 3 digits away. Letting others know help is there is part of us being good community members. 988. It's that simple. Please pass it on. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any board members have any announcements? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the SSDS presentation, reporting period 1.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm going to be presenting our semi-annual report of the Student Safety Data System, SSDS, to the board. We are required by law to report 2 times a year to the Board of Education. The first one, which is this, is on reporting period 1. Reporting period 1 runs from September to December. Then I will come back in November and I will present on this year's or this past year's data from January to June, because we had just submitted that. So a little bit about SSDS. It was initiated by the DOE in the 2017-2018 school year. It collects incidents of violence, vandalism, weapons offenses, substance offenses, HIB alleged offenses, HIB confirmed offenses, and any other offenses that lead to a student being removed. For a detailed explanation, you can click on this, this link, and this is available on our district website as well, which will take you to the entire manual. So I'm going to give you some comparative data. I am going to show you 3 school years, 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, and 2021, 2022. I would caution you when looking at 2020 and 2021, remember that was a COVID year, so we were virtual at the time. 2019, 2020, September to December, we were in school normal. It was in March of 2020 that COVID started. So if you look across the board, and I would focus your attention on the blue, we are successfully reducing incidents of violence, vandalism, weapons offenses, HIBs, alleged HIBs, suspensions across the district elementary schools. Here are your secondary buildings. Again, for the reporting period to September through December, a noticeable drop in total incidents that meet the statutory definition of violence, incidents that meet the statutory definition of vandalism, substance, weapons, HIB confirmed, HIB alleged, and other incidents leading to suspension. To highlight some of the overall statistics for reporting period 1, there was a 29.7% reduction in total incidents from year 2019-20 to year 2021-22. There was a 14.9% reduction in incidents of violence, a 17.9% reduction in incidents of vandalism, a 60% reduction in incidents of substance possession. There's a 45.2% reduction in HIB confirmed incidents and a 37.2% reduction in HIB alleged incidents. There's a 38.4% reduction in all other incidents resulting in suspension. I'm not saying that these numbers are good. I'm saying that these numbers represented a decrease from where we were in 2019, 2020. There is still a lot of work to do, but we are going in the right direction. Again, I will be back in November and I will give you a year-over-year comparison. And I will show you 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, and 21-22. But I'm proud of the work that we are doing in our schools, because this is a testament to the work of the school principals, the school counselors, the teachers, and the school communities. This is not a testament to the work of myself or the senior staff. So all of the credit here does go to the schools, and I thank them for their hard work because what they're doing is having an impact. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. No, the questions are for the board. Yes. I can certainly, if you have an email address, I can send you the presentation. The black color stands for school year 2019-20. The gold stands for school year 2020-21, and the blue stands for school year 2021-2022. So the blue is our most current school year. Yes.
So in regards to the HIB programs, those are the
Yes.
programs that we have at each of the schools
Yes.
for training programs for the students. Can we get a list of the programs per school?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And just a note, remember in the beginning of this school year, why the blue is down for HIP trainings and HIP programs is we were still in a COVID protocol where we were not allowing visitors into the building. So traditionally, we do have a lot of outside organizations that come in and do programs and assemblies, but we did not have them in the beginning of the school year.
No, I thank you very much. And I think that those programs are essential to our schools. And I would just like to see for the board, if we can just get a list per school, per program.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I have nothing else. Thank you.
We are going to set up for our next presentation from our DCR committee, which is their annual report out of the activities that they've achieved during the year.
I'm going to put this up here. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Community, Board of Education, senior staff. My name is Amanda Asquith. And while I have been a teacher here at, I almost said Reynolds Middle School, but we're not in Hamilton. This year I had the opportunity to become the chair of the District Community Relations Committee. And so what we have here is our end of year presentation. Who will be presenting with me are subcommittee members, Diana Vassal, Dottie DePalma, and Melissa Petty. I should use the clicker. There we go. So I'll start with our mission and vision. The mission is to establish an open line of communication based on topics of equity in staffing, programs, and curriculum with the goal of cultivating an inclusive, caring, and supporting school community that promotes the well-being of each student through the alliance of its members. The vision is to create an inclusive and supportive culture that reflects the dynamic and diverse demographics of those that live in the school district. Create a network of communication for the collaboration of district and community members to discuss access to opportunities for our students' academic success. So our membership grew exponentially this year. We are up to 150 members. And let's see, the current, membership is 150. That consists of, thank you. That consists of Hamilton Township residents and district staff. The subcommittees for our committee is the recruitment and retention, restorative practices and suspension, curriculum, and action. The leadership for this committee is myself as the chair. The Board of Education liaison is Dr. Jason McSheen. And thank you, Dr. McSheen, for all the work you've helped us do. Yes, thank you. And then senior leadership liaison, Dr. Altobello. Thank you also for all of your time and putting together the meetings for us. That was wonderful. Okay, this is a slide that has the demographics of Hamilton. And then we'll start here with the Recruitment and Retention Committee.
No, I'm good. Good evening. I'm Diana Vassal. I'm the principal of Saint Elementary School, but I've also been a member of the DCR committee for several years. And approximately 5 years ago, we actually restructured the committee and created the Retention and Recruitment Subcommittee. This committee worked at that point to establish our Hamilton Township Job Fair, which is something that was well received when we first started it. Since COVID, things have kind of dropped off a little bit with it, but we're hoping that we can see a resurgence in it. Approximately 5 years ago, the committee recognized the fact that the workforce was dropping and that there were less and less candidates going into the field of education. As Dr. Rocco mentioned in his superintendent's report, that has dramatically changed, especially over the last few years. So one of the things that the committee did was work to establish a Tomorrow's Teachers program in our high schools. The program is aimed at finding those high school students who are potentially interested in going into education and kind of fostering that desire, giving them some opportunity to do some coursework in education that then can transfer into hopefully a program in college, in education. We hopefully will start to see the fruits of that labor in the next few years as those high school students will now be finishing up their college careers. And hopefully we will start seeing them applying for positions back in our district. The Recruitment and Retention Committee also talked about and wanted to work with some of our community colleges in order to try and capture some of those students who might not quite have their major determined yet and spark their interest in education by having them work with our students in our schools, and so that they can hopefully get that passion and we can get them into programs that will lead to them being credentialed teachers. We also have pushed for our HR director to attend multiple job fairs in various universities in and around our area. And as I mentioned, fostering the job fair for just our district. Some of the things that we've talked about in terms of retention is really having a focus on the mental health of the staff in the district and really supporting them through, especially these past very difficult few years, so that they want to stay here in Hamilton and continue working with our students. And now I'm going to hand it over to Melissa Persichetti for the next committee.
All right, good evening. My name is Melissa Persichetti. I am a vice principal at Nottingham High School, newly appointed. So before that, I was a business and education teacher at Nottingham for 14 years. So I was the co-chair, I was the chair of the restorative practice subcommittee for the last 3 years. So I started the committee right before COVID. So what you see up here is what is restorative practice. So some of you might think, what is restorative practice? Maybe you heard it, but really what the point of restorative practice is to really restore relationships and focus on the relationships with the students so that they can then identify when they make a mistake. So it's really going away from punitive and focusing on really restoring the behavior so students make better decisions in the long run. So our committee this past year have really focused on 4 areas. So we have recommendations around each of the 4 areas you see up on the screen. So the first area is ongoing professional development and training in restorative practice. So restorative practice is a big scope of different strategies that you can use. And in order for it to be effectively implemented into our district, there has to be a training element. So our committee firmly believes that we need to continue with the professional development on restorative practice. We have done a great job the last couple years at offering it for our teachers on PD days throughout the school year. We do have 4 restorative practice trainers in our district who were formally trained. So we are recommending that this PD continues and is available, as well as providing PD for administrators at the administrative summer retreat and looking into getting additional staff members trained by the International Institute of Restorative Practice, which is the formal organization that trains staff members so then they can then bring it back to their building. The second focus area is really focusing on the code of conduct. So currently the Hamilton Township School District has 1 code of conduct. So the committee really thinks this recommendation should take place where the code of conduct is, we have 1 for elementary, we have 1 for middle, and we will have 1 for high school. So this recommendation is really looking into, developing a code of conduct for each level. As there's a lot of differences that take place at the elementary school versus the high school. The third focus area would be updating the disciplinary code in the student management system. So our district, we use PowerSchool. So making sure that all of the code that we are entering into PowerSchool for disciplinary, anything that happens and we enter it, making sure that code aligns with what we're actually doing if we're implementing restorative practice. So looking at the language, making sure the options there. So it gives us a true reflection of what's taking place in the buildings. And then we can use that data, to make decisions as we move forward. And then the last one is right now, restorative practice is not identified as a core value on the strategic plan. So there will be a time when the strategic plan is further developed and a new one is put into place. So as a committee, we think that the district, if we want this as something that we're focused on, this really needs to be integrated into that strategic plan. So that is the core value for our district. So that concludes the restorative and practice committee part of the presentation. And then this little quote here is from the creator of the International Institute of Restorative Practice. And it's really just focusing on, working with the students so that we can help them make better decisions for their future. So I'd like to thank everyone and everyone who has contributed to the committee throughout the last few years. The list goes long and long. It's a very long list. So if you at any point gave your voice to my committee, we really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dottie DePalma, and I'm an English teacher at Steinert High School, and I am the the leader of the curriculum subcommittee. So we're sort of in a unique position, and the subcommittee focuses on integrating culturally diverse works of literature that reflect our student base and our community. So we're in a unique position. So I'm actually going to start off with what our original goals were. I've been the lead of this committee for the last 2 years, and we've been able to really work towards achieving these. So our first goal was for staff members to engage in professional learning and development opportunities to better equip themselves to provide equitable instruction that engages in culturally responsive and diverse learning. And our other goal was to collaboratively develop and select quality instructional resources, including online resources, mentor texts, and curriculum resources that are rooted in the content teachers are already teaching to provide to teachers. So what we have done over the last 2 years is to establish a plan to create support materials for our K-5 teachers. And as it turns out, we already have a fairly diverse base of literature in existence in our buildings. And we've had over the last 2 years an opportunity to purchase even more. So we're not actually going to go making crazy curriculum decisions. We're going to work with our teachers to really utilize what we already have. And we launched a survey to gather information from staff at the K-5 level of their interest and their familiarity with what we have, and their if they would be interested also in working with other teachers. So by the end of this past school year, we appointed a K-5 ELA resource committee. They are actually meeting next week, and I hopefully will be on that meeting as well. Their purpose was to use titles that have been ordered for the district and or already exist in our buildings, are already there, to create teacher resources to help our K-5 teachers easily incorporate more diverse works into our existing curricular framework. So these are things that we have that maybe we're not utilizing. Our framework is that we have an 8-teacher team. It's actually divided into 3 levels. I did not realize that until today, and it was too late to change it, but 3 levels. For about 8 hours apiece, they're going to create thoughtful support materials for these selected works. They're going to create sort of a knowledge base and a resource base that our teachers can utilize. Identify areas already in existence in the curriculum where these can be options that are easily integrated, and turnkey these materials in the fall. And then these materials will be made available to our K-5 teachers and staff in the fall. We're also looking to create sort of a digital online housing for this, so it's easy to access. And this is why I wanted to start with our goals. Basically, by the fall, the beginning of the 22-23 school year, we will have essentially met those original goals. The goal 1 will be met after the K-5 ELA Resource Committee completes their work and prepares to turnkey and distribute the resources that they create. And goal 2 will be met by doing the actual work itself this summer. So that puts us in a position to reevaluate our purpose. So as a committee, we have already met our goals. So we're considering changing from a curriculum perspective to more of a community outreach or community liaison sort of organization, group. I'm sorry, I lost a word there. So one of the things, or a few of the things that we've been talking about, is redesigning new goals to focus on community outreach and support, develop messaging of the importance of inclusive literature, creating parent resources, creating opportunities to engage with the community, and make that district-wide throughout the district and the different levels. So that's something when we come back in the fall that we're going to be discussing, is a repurposing of the curriculum committee into a community outreach committee. And I think that's it for me. I'm going to hand it back to Amanda.
Thank you. So the last subcommittee we have is the Action Committee. This subcommittee was formed in response to the growing need of a coordinated response from the district to address bias and traumatic events that affect our community. So there were 3 goals put forth or recommended by this committee. The first one is looking into creating a new position. And this is would be identifying just 1 person per building to guide the equity work in their school community. looking into the idea of healing spaces for students and staff to process their feelings around events in the community, and then to create a coordinated response to actual or perceived bias issues affecting the Hamilton Township School District community, including messaging, support, top-down information dissemination. This position is still being worked out as to exactly what it would do in each school, but we're looking at them being a stipend position, so they get paid for the amount of hours, which we know that they will work way more than the amount of hours, the 12 hours that are up there, but it gives them at least some financial support in the work that they'd be doing. And there'll be focused professional development with additional ongoing support. This looks into the healing spaces and what that means and how these, what I'm going to call coaches, was facilitate these healing spaces. And lastly, healing spaces roll out in phases. There'd be 3 phases. Again, this position being called a coach, they would work very closely with the administration in the district, and then talk about and agree upon a way of rolling that out in the schools. Okay, so I want to thank everyone who has been a part of the DCR and contributed to this work. There have been so many man hours and conversations had between community members and district members, so many great ideas that are not displayed up here, but have been talked about and put forth. So the District Community and Relations creates recommendations, and then we recommend them to the Board of Education and to senior administration. And so I'm very proud of the work that we were able to do this year. And I want to thank everyone who came to meetings and contributed. Your voice was heard. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Amanda, thank you. And I'd like to thank you as the chair, your subcommittee chairs. These folks and the committee members do more work than you could imagine. They not only meet monthly, but they put things together in between meetings. They develop presentations. Those who have been on the committee for longer than I've been here have achieved much over a period of time and has made our district better. So thank you all. Thank you to your committee members. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. McShane.
Yes, thank you, Dr. McShane.
I just want to echo, and I appreciate that. Thank you. But I do want to echo how much of the hard work that has been put in over the years, and also stress that it's been volunteer time. You know, community members, teachers, just looking to do better by the district and by our students and by our families. I really appreciate that. So thank you all.
Thanks.
I too would like to speak to the DCR committee because when I first was elected, I played Dr. McShane. And Ms. Vassal, I look out at you and I remember that the one thing we did that very first year was to get the equity plan that the state required. And that took the whole year. And it was the turning point. It definitely was the turning point. Mr. Gambaluka was with us and we had the courage to say we need to make change. And the growth in this committee has just been amazing. And I'm most proud of the restorative justice piece because that's the piece I wanted to see happen. And our suspensions are down. I remember those suspension reports those first years were just mind-boggling. And so I thank everybody who's worked on the committee this year. It really has gone places and it's gratifying to see. Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to go to the committee reports. Mr. Kanka, Finance and Operations.
Thank you. The Finance and Operations Committee met on July the 6th. And first on the agenda was Dr. Rocco, his communications report. He touched on talked about the summer camp program that already started and the amount of the work that's going on at our Park Avenue facility with the abatement process and the moving of staff around the district so we can get that work done. And then we moved into our agenda. First item up on the agenda was our transportation update. We had received news that over 90% of our our routes were not going to be renewed. So everything had to go out to bid. But the good news is we had the opportunity to bid triple tier routes for the first time ever. Unfortunately, we're expecting somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 30 to 40% increase in the cost of these bids. The bids were due in on the 18th, which was Monday. The administration and the transportation department right now is going over those bids to see what the financial impact is going to be to the district with those routes. And once they go over that, there'll be a discussion between the administration and the committee to see where we will be going and how we can fund this increase in transportation for the children. Then we moved into our field and track proposed schedule that was brought up. It was a preliminary schedule that showed the first field starting in mid-November of 2022 and ending hopefully for being ready for spring sports in early 2023. The second and third fields will be starting in the spring of 2023 and hopefully be completed, weather permitting, before the fall sports season begins in 2023. There was one track budgeted. The one track that was budgeted will be with the first field that's going to be started in November. And there's been some questions that have been brought up about what school was to be determined to be the starting point. So what ended up happening was there was a collaborative meeting between administrators, our architect, and it was determined that the field that's going to be that was chosen was Hamilton West. That's going to get the new turf and a new track around the field. And a lot was taken into consideration, the game scheduling, home games, away games, and the condition of the field. It's been my understanding. I had a conversation today with Dr. Rocco and Mrs. Atwood that the West Field was addressed by all the athletic directors in the district and the architect in the district, and that that field and track was in the worst condition in the district. As a matter of fact, we had gotten information that the West track hasn't been addressed since the late 1990s. So originally the thought was it was going to be the Steiner track, but after the conditions were viewed up close, it's going to be the West Field that's going to get the track along with the new field. There is, however, concerns with the Steiner track, and I was told today that there's actually one lane that there's an issue with at that track, and that will be that lane will probably be closed off for public use. As we all remember, if we can remember, maybe a lot of you don't, but about 6 years ago or so, we had the Nottingham track was fully replaced with a new base and a new surface, but the Steiner track only got a resurfacing. So that project is slated to begin in mid or early 2023. And those funds that are allocated for that project are dedicated to that project for the north and the east after the upgrade to west. There was also discussion with the committee to clear clear signage around west, because there's going to be a lot of equipment over there and a lot of people use those fields over there. And with the equipment that's going to be over there and the fencing that's going to be put up, there's going to be some signage put up for the public not to use those fields while this construction project is going on. What the signs are going to say, we don't know. It's not, that hasn't been determined yet, but it's probably going to say, no trespassing, construction and in progress or something to that effect. And after that, we moved on to the water testing update in the district that's required. We tested, I believe there was a little over 600 or 700 tests that were taken in the district. And there was 20, I guess, spots in the district that didn't meet the specific guidelines set by the State Health Department. And there was 7 hallway water fountains throughout the district that will be replaced with bottle fillers or fountain bottle filler, a combination unit. There were 9 classroom bubblers that will have the filters installed on them to test. And then after the filters are installed, the water will be tested. There's going to be an installation of some new bubblers. There are 4. 4 will be removed out of service permanently, and the work is to be completed by the start of September before the children come back to school. Then we moved on to the food service. There was some outstanding balances for the free and reduced students and 12th grade graduating students, a total of just under $20,000. That money's going to be, there's going to be a transfer of that money to cover those balances, but there's still a remaining debt of around $36,000, which is still significantly lower than the $143,000 we had in 2019. So we're working with the community to get these balances paid. There may be, there could be some miscommunication. Parents don't know what to do, but we're working to get that squared away with the community. And as Dr. Rocco had previously mentioned, there's quite a few summer projects going on right now. We have Mercerville HVAC. All these projects, like he said, are on schedule as of right now. The univent ventilators, the setting of the new boilers are on schedule. The Grice Reynolds kitchen abatement and demo is all complete and on schedule. The only delay that we have right now is the delay of the receiving of the new walk-in coolers, which is still slated for the end of October. The Langtree Morgan HVAC demo is completed. All the equipment is on site and the job is on schedule. The north bathrooms, the demo of 9 bathrooms have been complete. Floor abatement is to follow and is on schedule. The district-wide flooring in specific schools or various schools is on schedule. There's some tiles that are going to be replaced, carpetings and items like that. The lower pre-K bathroom flooring abatement is completed and on schedule. And as I've reported in the past about the roofing issues at Crockett School, JM, I believe it's Johns Mansville, has agreed to install a new membrane on that entire school under warranty with no cost to the district. What's going to happen is they're not going to rip off the entire membrane. They're going to repair the areas, the substrate of the areas that did get water damaged. That will be replaced, and then and once that's done, the entire roof will be remembraned at Crockett at no cost to the district. Also in discussion, there's a request for proposal for the same for Alexander and Sain School. And it's out, the proposal package is out and hopefully be completed by the end of the summer. Our construction consultant, New Roads, will be monitoring these projects as they start and as they continue and as they reach their conclusion. We also had a discussion about concerns with the increase of upcoming increase with health insurance in the district. So once we figure out what we're doing and what we need to do, and the numbers come in from the insurance or from the state, because we're under the state health benefits plan, it's going to be brought before the committee and then eventually before the whole board to determine what is economically beneficial to our employees. And the same with the transportation. We're going to do what we can, and we're hoping that the triple tiering of these bus routes will hopefully save us some money and maybe keep that the overall cost down less than the 30-40% that was coming in. And when I talked to Mrs. Atwood probably a week ago or so, some of the routes were coming in at a significantly higher, I mean, up 80-90% increase in the routes. So we're hoping that this triple tiering will reduce those costs to the district. But the committee will work with it. We'll work with the administration, with Dr. Rocco and Mrs. Atwood, and we'll figure something out to get this resolved, and hopefully we won't have any problems with transportation in September. And if anybody, and I would like to thank Mr. Salentano for his input in the meeting, and Mrs. Harvey, who is not here tonight, with her input, and we will do what we can to make the pain as least as possible. If anybody from the board has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them if I can.
Okay. Mr. Kanka, I just have two questions. First of all, can you explain what a triple tier route means?
Well, in the past, the district would send the routes out individually, and then we get bid upon. This year, we work with the Mrs. Atwood and the staff work with the transportation department, and triple tiering is where one bus does, say, a high school route, middle school route, elementary school route, the same bus. Once
Okay.
it goes, leaves one, it goes to the next, to the next. And we haven't done that in the past, and it's, hopefully it'll be economically beneficial to us by doing this.
And then my second question is, once the roof at Crockett has been repaired, what does the warranty look like after that?
I can't answer. I don't know. Maybe Mrs. Atwood knows, but I don't know what that is.
We're looking into that. That's a great question. We're right on that too.
Thank you.
Warranty on the new.
And Mr. Gonzalez,
So my question's it's whatever. So at Steiner, we're closing down one lane to the public. What's that look like? Do we just put cones on
What
that?
they'll probably do is just put some cones on it. On the lane that's, I'm assuming it's the outside lane that's the problem. And we've done this in the past where we've closed lanes down. So that's
It's
about what it.
unsafe, the lane,
Excuse me?
because the lane is unsafe or because it's worn out?
It's just worn out, and there's probably some edging issues.
And then, I don't know if I misunderstood this. Did it sound like we were 36 behind on food distribution, like food vendors in some way? But I thought the Fed paid for all the foods this past year, all the lunches.
what's he saying?
This is all previous,
Previous meaning,
prior to the free lunches and all that stuff. This is previous years. This goes
Oh.
back to 2019.
okay. Okay, so,
And it's down to, actually, it's down to 36,000. It was well up, it was almost 150,000 at one time, so.
okay, and this is, maybe I could ask later, I'll also ask now. Any news on if they are doing that again this upcoming year? Maybe this is a question for Ms. Atwood. Or,
I haven't heard anything, and we can't confirm any of that right now, but I'm assuming no.
All news has been it is over, and free meals for everyone we're back to the process where it's free and reduced and paid meals moving.
Free
forward.
lunch is over.
Right, and the amount of debt that Mr. Hank was talking about, student debt, that obviously predated the time where everything was free. And as he said, several years ago, we were up to 140,000. We've been working on getting people signed up for free and reduced and working on getting people eligible and to pay down the debt. And we're now down to 36,000, which is, we even continued to work over COVID closing.
so, I know usually families have to fill out a form if they're doing free or reduced. Is that true? Am I
Excuse
not
me?
true? Do families fill out forms to say they are free and reduced, like at the beginning of the school year?
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of those families, I expect, would maybe not realize they have to fill out that form this year because they
Yeah,
did in the past.
The district has been working to get more communication out to the people, because you're right, because a lot of people don't fill the forms out.
Yeah.
And we're working with that. And that's why the numbers are coming down too, because more people are engaging in the process.
Mr. Kanka, could I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
And just supplementing what you said, Ms. Atwood's office has done an outstanding job of reaching out to families who are eligible. When we do the pop-up schoolhouse, she has members of her team that are there helping families fill out the application right there on the computer. So we're doing that and reaching out, plus putting out additional information, whether that's on our website, through robocalls, or through social media feeds.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, Dr. Ferrer.
Good evening, everyone. The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on July 13th. Mr. Scotto walked the committee through the new curriculum guides for 3 high school art classes, including Art Fundamentals, which is open to students in grades 9 to 12, Mixed Media, also a class for grades 9 to 12, and Honors Studio Art, which is open to students in grades 11 and 12. The 3 guides align with the 2020 Visual and Performing Arts New Jersey Student Learning Standards, and the board will be asked to approve those in motion 6. The committee reviewed 2 textbooks, which will be purchased for the upcoming school year. One text is the Advanced Algebra and Trigonometry text, and the second one is a new text for AP Environmental Science. And just a note so that parents understand, often people ask why we're buying textbooks when we have computers, a one-to-one computer. And the textbook companies design their offerings in such a way that the computer portion comes for free when you buy the textbook. And that's not just with public schools, that's with colleges and universities too. Mr. Scotto walked us through the available online content for these textbooks, which is always really interesting. There's some YouTube videos for the environmental science. Students are allowed to hear the spoken text if they need it. There's opportunities for study. And the approval request for these textbooks is motion 7. And still under review is the selection of the 9 to 12 English language arts text for the district, which Mr. Scotto hopes that we will have on the August agenda. The district is offering 26 professional development workshops this summer. The offerings began on July 5th, and attendance is voluntary for teachers. Last month, there was a stakeholder meeting to discuss how the district should use grant money coming from the federal government's Elementary and Secondary Education Act, or ESEA funds. And the board is being asked to accept those funds in motion 9. And just last week, the 3 chairs of the district's high school guidance departments, Ms. Wilmot, Ms. Schiavone, and Ms. Emmons, along with the CNI director, Mr. Scotto, held an online presentation about Naviance. Naviance is an online college and career readiness program that the district purchases for students and families. The program is really robust. I was very impressed, and I don't know if Mr. Gatto's here tonight, but he's a real champion of Naviance, and I can see why. Students have the opportunity to take personality surveys to see how their interests might align with future careers. There is a section where students can practice for the SAT and ACT exams. Students can search for colleges and universities based on a variety of filters, cost, size, and curriculum offerings, for example. Last week's presentation will be sent to families via email and school messenger. It will be uploaded shortly to the curriculum and instruction section of the district website. The presentation will also be located on the pages of each high school. Now, students in grades 10 through 12 can access Naviance this summer. They can go to the district homepage and under resources using Clever, they can log in with their credentials. And you might not understand that, but I'm sure the students understand that Clever. It's just a login moment, isn't it? Now, incoming high school freshmen will receive their Naviance accounts in September. The committee actually started its meeting looking at having a continued discussion about the 2020 health and physical education standards. First and foremost, as the superintendent noted, there will be no vote tonight on the standards. The CNI committee, as I mentioned last month, is committed to doing its due diligence before bringing anything to the entire board for discussion and a vote. The committee has reviewed a clarification memo issued by the New Jersey Department of Education about the standards. That memo was quite clear that school districts have the discretion to adapt the standards, quote, based on the local curriculum development and review process, close quote. And at this moment, the CNI committee is conducting a review process. I think I know my colleagues well enough that I can assure the community there is already common ground to stand on. First, 7 of 9 members sitting at this table are parents. Additionally, Ms. Kelly has had a long career in education, and Mr. Gonzalez is currently a teacher. None of us would support grooming children. None of us would support turning the standards into a how-to manual. We are committed to doing what's best for the children in our community while honoring parental choice and informed decisions. I am mindful of several things based on some recent comments which have been made at board meetings. First, there are parents in this district who were adopted as children. There are parents in Hamilton who have adopted children. There are parents in this community who identify as LGBTQ. There are parents in this district whose children identify as LGBTQ. These parents also love their children and want what's best for them. There are district parents who have no issue with the standards. We have heard parental concerns raised over the last 5 months. So the committee's first order of business was to ask the administration to strengthen the opt-out component, which is allowed by state law and board policy. And that opt-out component is 42 years old. It was initiated in 1980. With the advancements in technology, the committee requested the creation of a formal opt-out form to be made available to parents at the start of the school year. The form will be located in Power School and will cover students in grades K through 12. Parents will have to complete a form for each child attending district schools. Having the form electronically available and signed puts parents, teachers, and the district on the same page. Despite what has been said at recent meetings, a student who is opted out of the family life curriculum will not be required to write a paper about a family life topic. Students who are opted out will have instruction and assignments covering other health concepts from the standards. For example, Lyme disease is a topic the state has listed in the standards. Those assignments will also be designed this summer. Additionally, the family life syllabus will be sent home for review, and parents will be asked to sign and return a form indicating they understand what will be taught. So allow me to recap where things stand at the moment with my committee about the health and physical education standards. 1, there will be no formal vote tonight on the standards. 2, for the foreseeable future, the 2014 health and physical education standards, which include the 2014 family life curriculum, will be used for instruction. Those standards can be found on the CNI webpage under the left-hand tab marked Health and Physical Education. Also on that page is a link to the district policy, noting that parents can opt their students out of the family life portion of the health class. And you will see the opt-out policy that is in place and has been in place since 1980. Recognizing the call for continued parental choice in this area, by the start of the school year, there will be a specific opt-out form for parents to sign for each of their students in grades K to 12. The form will be located in Power School. Filling out the form will ensure a student will not be participating in the family life curriculum. Students who are opted out of the family life curriculum will not be doing any classwork connected to that topic. By the start of the school year, lessons for opt-out students will be in place and provided to parents. All parents will receive a copy of the family life syllabus and will be asked to sign and return a form indicating they have read and understood what will be taught. Finally, over the next several weeks, members of the other 2 board committees will have the opportunity to look at and discuss the 2020 standards with the administration and with a member of the CNI committee present, thus allowing our colleagues to provide input as we work to develop a final document. Mr. Kanka, Ms. Kelly, Mr. Scotto will be coordinating a day with you for your committees to meet with us, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Ms. Kelly? Oh, does anybody have any questions we're talking?
Madam President, do we have any questions?
Yeah, do you have one?
Is this thing on?
Yes.
And I feel like, well, my question would be, I appreciate, the work you guys have been doing, but I think from my perspective, opting out is telling folks that there's a possibility of this egregious, whatever. Please. That's not necessary. What I would probably rather see is an opt-in. If you want to opt in, I think that would make it a lot simpler.
Whoa. Right now, we don't
Mr.
have any.
Celentano,
As
first of
now-
all,
No, wait a minute.
Mr. Celentano, first of all, calling the standards egregious before you've sat with the committee and the administration and gone through with them is very pejorative. Number two, the number of people who would opt out as opposed to the number of people who would opt in is likely smaller and easier to remember.
Okay. As of right this second,
This is,
September school year is the same curriculum that we have right now. It takes at least 3 months to even look at it.
okay,
So
please.
none of this has happened. I haven't even seen these yet. So it has to go through all of us. So
Exactly.
nothing is happening.
No,
Like I
I'm
said a
just trying to
million
respond to, I'm trying to respond to something that,
September, when you walk in, it's the same curriculum your kids learned last year.
Mr.
That's a
Celentano, we can
guarantee.
discuss it in the committee meeting.
yes, we can.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Are
I
you
think
good?
probably another good idea was, and I think I brought it up last month, I think we need to hear from Dr. Scotto if it's his curriculum, and I think we need to hear from him and hear the same type of words that we're hearing from you tonight.
All right, well, Mr. Celentano, Mr. Scotto, and one of us will be at a committee meeting with your committee and Ms. Kelly's committee to discuss nothing but the standards. We will go through and compare and contrast for you the
That's fine.
2014 and 2020 standards.
That's fine.
And help you understand what the differences are and are not.
You want to help me understand?
I'm going to try to
What you
help
want to
you
do? You want to help
understand.
me
You
understand?
know what, Mr. Celentano, what I wondered is were you on the board in 1980 when the opt-out was designed?
Wasn't here then. Sorry about that.
Wait, real quick. Before the meeting, you guys will get a copy of the 2016 and 2020
Yeah, we were supposed to get them
standards.
already.
So 2014,
right?
my bad. 2014 and 2020 standards. So ideally,
We wanna
before
look
we
at
meet
them.
with you guys, you would have read them
Talking about
so that we
Fine.
don't have to go through the whole 60-page document in that
the so
hour
weird.
and change time.
I've got no problem with that. I don't know
Yeah,
why
so
everybody gets bent
that
out of
will
shape.
be sent to you beforehand, to be clear. So you guys,
Thornton,
Mr. Gonzalez, thank you very much for that. And I think it's very important for all the board members to be able to have that information so that we can review it. I know that you had stated that it will be sent to us. If we could just get that sent to us sooner than later, because I
Yeah,
know we're looking at
exactly.
meetings coming up soon, so it is
So
a
you want-
comprehensive document. I
We
would
don't want
like
it
to
the
be
night of
able
the
to
meeting.
review it as soon as possible.
So you want the 214 and the 220? Is
Yes,
that what you're
before our
asking for?
meeting.
Okay,
Yes,
I will
please.
get them to you in the morning.
We
I
want to
appreciate that.
compare and
Thank you.
contrast ourselves, and then we'll listen to what you have to say. when
Okay,
you come to
that's
our
fine.
meeting.
I will get them to you all in the morning.
So Mr. Santana, you're going to
Thank
get
you.
both too, and Mr. Kanka. Okay. No, you're going to get them both so you can review them
If I
too.
can't speak of a point that irritates me
Ken.
or gets to my attention, then
Ken,
guess
I'm
what?
just
We all
telling-
need to resign.
I get you. I'm telling you, you're going to get them so we can all see them.
You know, if you want to start early, the 2014 standards are on the curriculum and instruction site. All you have to do is go to the CNI page, go on the left-hand side, go down and click on health and phys ed standards.
I could
And the
read.
next page that
know what
comes
you're
up, the
saying.
standards are
The
right
point
there.
is, I'm not talking about 2014, I'm talking about 2022, 2023.
Okay. We good? Yeah. You're going to get a copy of them too, so you can compare. You're going to get a copy of them too. Okay. Ms. Kelly?
Sure. The Personnel Committee met on July 13th. During our meeting, Mr. Scotto started us out with some information about curriculum department restructuring. He discussed why that was an appropriate thing, talked about that it would utilize all current budget positions, so there would not be adding any positions. The restructuring and increased alignment in duties between the elementary and secondary supervisors. That way, there's a lot more vertical articulation and collaboration. The restructuring will also update language that's reflecting the current technologies in the state and federal reports or programs. Those are going to be on our current agenda tonight under item number 12 for the HR. That's would be to approve those new job descriptions with the realignment. And it's also to abolish one job description and create another one that goes along with the job descriptions for CNI that's realigning grants and different things like that. And social studies then went so that there'll be someone that's K-5 and then 6 through 8 for social studies. So that got pulled out of one of the job descriptions and got placed into another. So that's why those are being abolished and the new one being asked. We're also asking you guys on item number 16 to rename a position. Our district has had an HR manager position that was actually a confidential secretary. And it's been very confusing because years ago, our district also had a position that was called HR manager that was an HR director position for someone who didn't have all the credentials in the state. They came under a different category, so they couldn't have that title. So we're asking that now we're going to rename that title to the administrative assistant to the director of HR, which is much more descriptive of the title and will hopefully eliminate the confusion. So those are the things that we're asking you about job descriptions. And we discussed that during the during the HR committee this month. Ms. Atwood also helped us talk about some preschool expansion aid, talked about that we were looking at some finalists for the transportation director position, which is actually going to be on tonight for approval. And we discussed some updates on the status of the turf fields with which Mr. Kanka went through in his report tonight. Dr. Octobello gave us some information about the SSDS report, which he presented this evening, and our HIB self-assessment. We talked about the topic of school security. And we talked about a possible negotiations item. And that's the end of my report. Thank you. I don't know if Ms. Lombardo or Ms. Thornton have anything to add.
I do not.
Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Good. Okay, moving on. Does anybody have any questions for the monthly suspension report, bib report, or health report? Seeing none, do we have anybody signed up for the first hearing of the public? On agenda items only?
So repeat that because I really have trouble hearing you.
This is the hearing of the public on agenda items only. No one signed up for that? Okay, so we'll close that part. Dr. Farrar, can you take us through curriculum instruction?
On the recommendation of the superintendent, I move curriculum and instruction items 1 through 14.
Second.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Dr. McShane? Dr. McShane?
No, I second. That's why, sorry.
Oh, okay. If nobody has any questions, we can take roll for that.
Yes.
Dr. McShane. Ms. Thornton,
Yes.
Mr. Salantano,
Yes on everything, no on number 10.
Dr. Farrar,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Kanka,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Mr. Kanka, can you bring it through finance and operations?
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, I move finance motions 1 through 17.
Second.
Anybody have any questions on any of those? Dr. McShane?
Yes, I've got a question on item 16, which is the prices for meals. And it's it's kind of an elementary question, so I'm sorry, but is this the price is being paid per meal by the student, or is it a price that's the district's paying?
Which motion is that?
Sorry, 16?
It's the student price meal.
It's a student
Student
price.
prices.
Okay. And can you explain the required weighted average? That is one of the categories in the student lunch prices?
Yes, well, we may have to have a little side meeting on that, but
Okay.
it's a federal calculation that requires us to go through to determine that you charge the minimum charge. Basically, it looks at how much federal money received, the number of kids we have, and they require everybody in every district to have a certain percentage charged by paid, such that it's equitable across the board. And I'm trying to explain it in a macro way without getting into the micro calculation. But essentially, the concept is we should not use federal money to inequitably lower prices for certain people. So it's a minimum standard they require us to charge, and that calculation determines it. So anybody who really wants a little lesson on it, I have to actually reteach myself every year when we have to go through the calculation. We can sit down.
So is the idea that on the population level, on average, the meal is priced such that it should be affordable for most of the people in the district? I'm just trying to get a slightly better understanding.
Oh, well, the meal, I'm not sure if it gets, I mean, maybe that's part of it as well. I've always been taught the reason they want you, because some districts, like for instance, the last few years have done so well. You know, a lot of people say, why don't we just charge zero? They won't allow us to do, if we want to participate in the lunch program, they require a minimal commitment. And you know what, you're probably correct. I bet that's part of it. They determine the economic status of your community versus another, that you need to raise a certain amount, or you have the ability to pay a certain amount.
It's probably a little bit of both.
Yes, I bet it
yeah.
is. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
There still is free and reduced.
Yeah.
Right.
This is over and above free and reduced this year. So if you qualify for free and reduced, you will get a reduced price here, or you won't have to pay at all.
Mhm.
These are the ones that don't apply and assume that they can afford the $2.90 for elementary school. And I may add that the price is going to remain the same for the next school year as it was this past school year. So.
Thank you.
Ms. Thornton?
I do have a question in regards to motion 13, the dual use applications. I think I mentioned this every year, as it is a huge concern of mine. I commend our administration and our principals of these buildings, because we all know that space is an issue, and we try to do our very best to use the resources that we have. And I know that scheduling the classrooms at the same time can kind of be a challenge. But I see, you have some classrooms where you're sharing a classroom for basic skills in Title I. Not the ideal situation. And again, I know that they do their best in scheduling. I just want us really to put this on our list and really look at this and hope that this is something we can address moving forward with our facility strategic plan for the future, so that we can best utilize the space that we have and really try to make sure that each one of these different subjects have their own space, so that we're not sharing space when
They're using them at the
absolutely
same
necessary.
time.
Sorry, that's all.
Are they using they're not using them, they use them at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, it's a challenge, and I absolutely understand that, but, ideally, I would love to see them in 2 separate classrooms.
Good idea. Anybody else? Okay, Ms. Atwood?
Yes.
Ms. Thornton?
Yes, but on motion 11, page 25, line items 6 through 13, I need to abstain. Yes on all others.
Mr. Salantano?
Yes.
Dr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Kanka?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Lombardo?
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Ms. Kelly? Personnel.
Yes, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, I move items number 1 through 16 under personnel. And before we vote or have any questions, I always like to read our retirees because they've provided great services to our students over the years. We have Isabel Sutton. She was a supervisor of student services, retiring after 35 years and 4 months. And we have Secretary Nancy Casper from Hamilton East, retiring after 10 years and 8 months. So thank you for your service.
And I'll second the motion.
Anybody have any questions on these? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Atwood?
Dr. McSheen,
Yes.
Thornton,
Yes.
Mr. Salantano.
Yes.
Dr. Farrar,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Kanka,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes, but I have to abstain on motion 2, Y4, motion 11, C5.
Motion's pass.
Okay, we have, oh yeah, go ahead.
With the board president's permission, I'd like to recognize and bring up several new administrators that we have in our district. First, I'd like to invite up Amanda Wegman, who is the new vice principal of Hamilton West.
Hi, everybody. My name's Amanda. If you don't know, have been a teacher at Hamilton West for the last 10 years. And tonight, I would really like to thank the Board of Ed, Dr. Rocco, senior staff, Mr. Smith, and the rest of the Hamilton West administrators and everybody who participated in the interview committee for giving me this opportunity. I'm excited to move forward in this new role and really looking forward to continuing to be part of the Hamilton West family and hopefully a part of the community for many more years to come. So thank you very much.
I'd like to invite up and welcome to Hamilton Township, Mija Christie, who will be the new VP over at Grice Middle School.
Good evening, members of the school board, families, staff, students, and the Hamilton community. My name is Mija Christie, and I am super excited to be the new vice principal at Grice Middle School. Go Gladiators! And I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Rocco and also Mr. Walker for this opportunity as well. I look forward to building relationships with the school community in addition to establishing a great rapport with all of the families within the school community. I bring my experience in international education, and I'm looking forward to just helping our diverse student population succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. Juntos podemos hacer todo. Together, we can do everything. I would like to thank my family for their unconditional support during this process. My heart is so full. Thank you.
And they seem to be a pretty big cheering section too. You had a standing ovation over there.
At this time, I'd like to invite up Bill James, our new AD at Steinert High School.
I just want to say thank you to Dr. Rocco, Brian Rogers, our new principal, the school board, senior administration, everyone involved in the process. I'm extremely excited, honored and humbled to be gaining this new position as the athletic director at Steiner. I'm a proud township resident. 3 boys who went through the schools, 2 who graduated. Our oldest son, William, who graduated from Steiner and TCNJ and now getting his master's of writers. He wants to be a teacher too, so we're getting some. My middle son, Brendan, who is another proud Steiner graduate. He's a rising senior at Temple. He's doing an internship right now. And our youngest son, who is a rising senior at Steiner, is at the Legion baseball picnic. They couldn't be here, but I'm looking forward to working with more students. I've been an educator for 34 years, 29 in our district, and I've been blessed and fortunate to work with many great people, many great students, and I always feel that coaching is just an extension of the classroom. And my new position, I'm looking forward to it, to extend my educational career and work with even more students. I couldn't have done this without the support of my family. As I mentioned, my 3 boys who could not be here tonight. My parents are here, Bill and Laura, who've supported me through everything. My in-laws, Jack and Mary Beth. But most importantly, the glue to our family, who I give credit for everything. I don't do much. I just kind of hang around. My wife, Megan, without her support and undying love for our family, I wouldn't be standing here right now. But I'm looking forward to the position. Thank you very much.
At this time, I would like to introduce our new supervisor of administration, Robin Ivanasek.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, being working in Hamilton schools for 20 years, students have always motivated me to be a lifelong learner. I truly appreciate all the guidance, the support, the kindness that my colleagues, the administration, the board members, Dr. Rocco, and the entire Hamilton community has provided me. You know, I want to thank my family. They've always encouraged me to, achieve my educational goals. And I am extremely grateful for this opportunity and very excited to be starting my administrative career here in Hamilton Township. Thank you.
One person that is not with us tonight, we have a new transportation supervisor, Janet Guglielmelli. I'd like to congratulate her on her new role. She was number 2 in the transportation department, and she is taking over. So can we have a round of applause for Janet? My last item on this, we have outstanding faculty staff in this district. We also have outstanding administrators. So welcome to that team. But I also want to point out a lot of those folks are here tonight on their own time, rooting on their new administrators. So thank you for coming out and supporting the team.
Okay, next we have other business. I have one quick thing and then I'll go to the board. If you want to give me it's that time again to change schools around. So if you have a suggestion of what school you may want, just shoot me an email. And I'll try and get everybody the schools they choose for a liaison school. If you want to keep the same one and nobody else wants it, that's fine too. Okay, next we have hearing of the public on school-related matters. We have 4 minutes each, and the first person we'll start with is Stacy Byrne.
Good evening. Tonight, I think the majority, are here as supporters for safe and transparent education. We represent many Hamilton parents and community residents. In the past couple of months, you have heard parents and community members speak out against the dangers and age-inappropriate nature of these new comprehensive health
and physical education standards, and the fact that teachers are not adequately trained to teach and guide students in these sensitive topics. Parents and community members also believe that these new standards infringe upon a parent's right to direct the upbringing, education, healthcare, and mental health of a minor children as they touch upon family values, gender identity, human development, sexuality, and sex. We have collected close to 1,400 signatures to petition you, the school board, to number one, not adopt this curriculum, meeting the 2020 standards. And number two, be completely transparent by providing the current curriculum guides for each content area for K to 12, as well as listing all approved materials, websites, videos, programs, and/or books permitted to be used in classrooms on the HTSD website, and update such information as necessary to reflect changes made from time to time. It is our right to know this information. In collecting the signatures, there was a consistent theme. Many people had no idea that the state adopted new standards. When shown the standards, people were shocked. Given more time, we would have had a lot more signatures. People do not understand why this would be taught in schools and for the reasons previously stated. We should all teach our children to be kind, good-hearted people to everyone. At these board meetings, we have heard gut-wrenching stories of bullying. No child should be bullied. These new standards are not about acceptance, but rather a gateway to a dark path. The Board of Education has control and authority over the curriculum that is implemented within its schools. Several districts, I hear 13, including Garwood, Jackson, Montague, and others, have already said no to adopting curriculum that is not developmentally age appropriate and would result in subject matters including, but not limited to, and you're not talking about this, but this is what's in the 2020 standards: oral sex, anal sex, masturbation, and sexual orientation as set forth in the new standards. Here is your chance to decide where you stand. Will you vote to adopt a divisive, egregious, political agenda that endangers, confuses, grooms, and sexualizes our children? Or will you promote a curriculum that focuses on preparing them to become productive members of society in a safe, supportive environment that prioritizes our children's well-being? In other words, will you put our children first over the agenda of the state by saying no to these standards? In closing, and in line with the petition that we're going to hand to you, we ask that you do the right thing and adopt the resolutions that we're going to present to you tonight, rejecting these 2020 standards and promoting complete transparency of the curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have John Muka. And before you speak, we need your address, please.
Yeah, my name is John Muka. I live at 2495 Sylvan Avenue in Hamilton.
Okay.
I'm speaking on behalf of the same group that Stacy just spoke about, and to make it easier on the board, we put together a resolution, 2 resolutions that you can simply adopt, and we can put this divisive discussion behind us. So let me read to you these resolutions. Whereas the Hamilton Township School District Board of Education has major reservations regarding some of the content within the 2020 New Jersey Student Learning Standards, Comprehensive Health and Physical Education, which can be found at the website And again, this is the resolution we'd like you to consider and you to adopt and speak these words on our behalf. Whereas the HTSD Board of Education has control and authority over the curriculum that is implemented within its schools. Whereas these HTSD Board of Education allow the proposed state curriculum standards to move forward, it would allow the school district to demonstrate, teach, and discuss in the classrooms at various grade levels topics of sexual activity such as oral sex, vaginal sex, anal sex, masturbation, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And whereas the HTSD Board of Education recognizes a parent and guardian's interest in the role of determining how to present this sensitive and personal discussions to their own children regarding family values, gender identity, human development, sexuality, and sex, which are age and developmentally appropriate. And finally, whereas the HTSD Board of Education believes that parents, guardians, and stakeholders have a right to know what is being taught in its schools and that the district should be completely transparent of its curriculum. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the HTSD Board of Education shall not adopt any curriculum implementing the 2020 New Jersey Student Learning Standards, comprehensive health and physical education that are developmentally and age inappropriate, or that would result in the instruction of subject matters including, but not limited to, oral sex, vaginal sex, anal sex, masturbation, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And be it further resolved that the current curriculum guides for each content area for K through 12, as well as all approved materials, websites, videos, programs, and/or books permitted to be used in the classroom must be disclosed on the HTSD website, and such information must be timely updated to reflect the changes made from time to time. So if you would do us the service of being our representatives and adopt this resolution, we can move forward on so many other important issues in Hamilton Township. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have. Thank you. Next we have Carmela Kearns. I also need your address for the record, please.
My address?
Yeah.
Timberwolf Drive. 4
Okay, thank you.
Timberwolf Drive. Okay, good evening. At the past few Board of Education meetings, I've asked the board members to please reject the implementation of any curriculum that aligns with the 2020 New Jersey Student Learning Standards for comprehensive health and physical education for grades K through 8. The implementation of these standards would expose elementary and middle school students to the instruction of explicit and age inappropriate content such as masturbation, sexual orientation, vaginal, anal, and oral sex. Now, each school district is expected to implement the standards adopted by the State Board of Education for each of the 7 content areas of instruction. To ensure that each school district designs and implements curriculum to meet these standards, the New Jersey Department of Education developed the New Jersey Single Accountability Continuum, or more commonly referred to as the QSAC. QSAC is a monitoring and self-evaluation system for public school districts. Under QSAC, school districts are evaluated in 5 key component areas. 1, instruction and program. 2, personnel. 3, fiscal management. 4, operations. 5, governance. These 5 performance areas are reviewed to determine the extent to which a school district is providing a thorough and efficient education. A district may receive a maximum of 100 points in each of these 5 areas. A district must score at least 80 points in each area to be recommended for certification as a high-performing district to the State Board of Education. The implementation of curriculum that aligns with the 2020 health and physical education standards is worth 4 out of the 100 points within the area of instruction and program. If you reject the adoption of these curricula, Hamilton Township, when required to go through the QSAC review, would still be well above the 80 points necessary to be identified as a high-performing district. Additionally, as per the CUSAC user manual, if a school district scores below the 80 points in any of the 5 performance areas, the New Jersey Department of Education will then work collaboratively with the district in the identified areas to help increase performance. Nowhere in the 144-page user manual does it state failure to meet the CUSAC requirements or the score would result in a loss of state funds or state aid. This evening, you have been presented with a petition of approximately 1,400 signatures from Hamilton parents and community residents requesting that the Board of Education not adopt any curriculum that aligns with the instruction of these new standards. As Board of Education members, you are committed to serve as a voice for the children of the school district and the residents of the community. Every policy you approve and every action you take needs to be based on what is best for the education of students. The community members have voiced their concerns. Now it is your responsibility to do what you were elected to do and to do what is best for its students. As per the guidelines outlined in the CUSAC user manual, the New Jersey Department of Education cannot penalize any school district for rejecting the implementation of these standards. Isn't the overall well-being of our students in this district worth far more than the insignificant loss of 4 points during a New Jersey CUSAC review? Please be the leaders you aspired to be when you accepted this position and vote no for the adoption of any curriculum that includes the new health and physical education standards. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there Andre Magi? Am I saying that right? Andre or Andrea?
Good evening, everyone. Andreas Mejia, 73 Joni Avenue. I'm not here to talk about this very controversial issue. I'm not here to bust anyone's chops or anything like that. I just would like to bring to the board's attention, and specifically Dr. Rocco, if we could have the opportunity for our almost 5-year-old child to be eligible to test, to be able to become a kindergarten student here in Hamilton Township for the fall this year. Our daughter Amelia is 12 days short of this October 1st standard that we've been told over and over again cannot be moved, cannot be bent. And we merely are asking, as 2 parents living in this school district, to have the opportunity for our child to test into the kindergarten at Robinson Elementary School for this fall. Our daughter has a command of over 46 sight words at this time. The director of the Hamilton Montessori School, where she currently attends since 2020, has more than said that she is ready to become a kindergartner in this district here. We would like the opportunity as parents, my wife and I, to have our child test into and have the opportunity to attend public school here at Hamilton. Our oldest child is academically excelling at Villa Victoria Academy in West Trenton with straight A's and was a straight A student at Robinson prior to our child, who we hopefully will have the opportunity to enroll in the fall this year. We are just asking for the opportunity for our child to test into kindergarten at Robinson, because every single step along the way, when I called Robinson and I spoke to the enrollment people, they said that we can't do that because it's a state law. And when we called the Board of Education, and specifically elementary education, we were told the same thing. And when I actually did research on this topic, I was actually able to see that it is not a state law and that individual districts can and shall allow people to have their children test for the opportunity to go into kindergarten. I appreciate your time and effort. Hopefully, Dr. Rocco, I can send you a follow-up email. We can discuss this matter, and hopefully our child can have the opportunity to become a student here in Hamilton. in this fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nick Ferrara?
All right. Nick Farrar, 21 Colts Neck Terrace. Now, normally, as you all know, I'd probably focus on the same health standards, 2020 health standards. I'm not going to spend much time on that. Just want to note, we just submitted 1,400 signatures, could have got a ton more. But from the way Sue was talking, it sounds like we already know which way this is going to go, which is very concerning to me. And frankly, I think you could have chose someone more neutral to lead this. I mean, she's the most far liberal ideologue on the board. Would have made sense to be someone more in the middle to propose this issue and think about it. Because again, we already know where she's going to go. And opt-in has to be the only way. In fact, if we would have talked to more people, we would have had so many more signatures. Most people have no clue about this stuff. That's why it was passed in 2020 during COVID, when everybody was preoccupied. You try to shove these things in under the rug where no one would see. But guess what? We know, and we're telling everyone, and nobody wants this garbage. Okay, maybe 10, 15, 20% tops of these ideologues are the ones that want it. The ones who support the LGBT stuff, and the P for that is pedophile. You know, that's what this is all about. This is all about the pedophiles. But I'm going to leave that at that. What I'm going to do is spend the rest of my time focusing on issues that teachers who are scared to speak up out of fear of retaliation have come to me issues with. So I'm going to bring this up now. The first one actually does relate to the gender and sex or health curriculum, which is not in the current CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. Next CBA is negotiated 2023 for the 2024-2028 school year. So even if you pass this, teachers who aren't qualified to teach this and don't want to teach it, they're not obligated. And frankly, you probably open yourself up to lawsuits if you try to push this stuff without it being in the CBA. So at a minimum, even if you pass this stuff in the next year or so, it better not be anywhere until after that, hopefully never, but at least that as the backstop. So after that, central registration and investigators. It's been brought to my attention that has basically been abolished. And right now, secretaries are registering families with little to no proof of residency. Why is this? Can somebody answer that for me? Huh? You're trying to do overflow. Why are we doing this? I know why. Especially at Steiner, because it was the top one. We got to bring everybody else. The Marxist ideology, right? We got to bring everybody down. We can't let there be anybody that excels. Well, this is nonsense. We need to stop with this overflow. The schools are packed. Steiner in particular, where my daughter will be going, is packed. I don't want her there. You have 1,500 students now. I think there's what, 800 in Nottingham? Why do we keep loaning them up in Steiner? Without proof of residency. 1,500 students, one resource officer for 1,500 students. Can we get more than one, please? Or can we do what Robbinsville did and hire outside security? Okay, because teachers can't touch. Fights happen, and the Hibs, I believe, were a bit misleading. I've also been told that they're being held back and pushed to try to make your stats look better. Typical liberal thing to do, manipulate the data, but you know what? It's expected at this point. So yeah, things are much worse than you're letting on. Okay, there's fights out of control. You don't discipline people out of restorative justice. That's the whole damn problem, is why people act the way they do, why we have rioters out in the streets, why we have all this mayhem, lack of discipline at home and now with the schools. And you're just going to bring more of this nonsense. And frankly, that's what you want, because the Marxist liberal ideology is to undermine society. It's exactly what you guys are pushing, whether wittingly or unwittingly, but we know the game and it needs to end. I had a lot more. I'm going to save it for next time.
Next, we have, is it Monica? And Monica will need your address also.
Hi, I'm on Van Zant in Hamilton, right around the corner from campus. So I'm just thankful that you brought up that we do have people in our community that identify as LGBTQ. My own children and family members are. and my best friends. And I can assure you that even they do not believe that through K through 8, any of this needs to be introduced or taught at the taxpayer's expense, because it's just not true education. Let's just teach our children how to learn, and then let them learn what their family and what their belief systems come out of that when it is age appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. James Moon. And we'll need your address also.
216 Arlington Avenue, Yardville. I'm going to ask for a little bit of minimal participation from the board. How many of you folks, I understand a lot of you have children, how many were taught as children from their parents masturbation at 10 years old?
Mr. Moon, this is
just a show of hands.
Okay, we don't.
I'm going
Go
someplace
ahead and
with
approve
this.
it.
Okay. How many that have children teach their 10-year-olds masturbation at 10 years old? Okay. How about invite them into the bedroom to teach them different ways of sex at age 13? Well, why don't we do this? We don't do this because if we did do this and it got around, social services would be at our door to take our children from us. And that's factual. And they would bring the state and local police along to take us into custody as well. And so what we asked you to do is to make the right decision, okay? And I'm sure that the parents here would expect the same, pull up the words, correct words that I'm looking for, to hold the people that were responsible for this indoctrination of our children as accountable as the state would hold us accountable for the same, what they would consider crimes. Okay. We just asked you to do the right thing, and that we be able to teach our children what they need to learn in school, and keep it at that. The only other question I have is the restorative process that was talked about earlier. Is that another name for CRT?
It's not the same thing.
Critical race theory? No? Okay, because that's kind of how that
No,
was
it's not.
presented. All right, good enough.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Mark Byrne. Mark Byrne. We'll need your address too, sir.
Mark Byrne, 251 Extonville Road, Allentown, but I'm a Hamilton taxpayer. I pay $16,000 a year in taxes, and that's why I'm here. Because I feel that this is going to be lawsuits down the road. I feel that potentially that we will open ourselves up to lawsuits, because you'll get pedophile teachers, and the potential for harming our children is catastrophic. Plus, why divide the children, opting out, opting in? That's why do that? Why put the kids in that predicament? You're going to make kids feel awkward. It doesn't need to be taught. It's senseless. And I know as a kid growing up, those vulnerable years when you're a kid and you're, going through puberty, so to speak. Your emotions are all over the place. If you have to opt out or opt in, it shouldn't even be a choice. You're just dividing the kids more and more, and it's not necessary. Those kids are going to be bullied that opt out. Absolutely. So it's, in my opinion, it's unnecessary. The gentleman here said, if you see something, say something about safety of the children. And this, to me, is seeing something, saying something. I'm saying something now. I believe that Hamilton will open themselves up to lawsuits, and this township that produced one of the greatest laws in the country, Megan's law, we should be at the forefront. We should be leading the way that this is not necessary in the school systems. It has nothing to do with teaching. It's not necessary. And I do believe maybe somebody has other opinions and we should respect them. And like someone else said, we should respect everybody. We should teach kids kindness, not to be bullied. Someone might be gay, so be it. I have relatives, friends that are gay. I treat them with respect, kindness. That should be taught. We wouldn't, if someone, one of the board members wants to bring the NRA in, say to teach kids how to shoot guns, would they allow that? Would you allow that? No, you wouldn't, because it's not necessary, right? This is not necessary. These new standards are not necessary. And just as if this is going to be the case, why wouldn't you want to bring the NRA in to teach kids how to load a gun, how to put on a condom? It's not necessary. They don't need to know that at that age. So that's what I think.
Thank you. Next, we have Jordan Miller.
So I'm Jordan Miller. I've live at 35 Cranbrook Road here in Hamilton. Been a Hamilton resident most of my life. I went to Kistart School when I was young. Went to Grace Middle School. Closer to the mic, can't hear me? Yeah, so I said I went to Kistart School, small child, went to Grace Middle School. My mother, Carol, taught here in the township for 22 years as a special ed teacher out in Yardville. I know from my mother's experience how hard the educators of this community work, how much of themselves they put into the work that they do with the children, right? You could make, maybe more money somewhere else, right? But the people who work in this township care about the children that they work with, the children they work for. And, with that in my background, right? Yet I come here tonight to say that, everybody in this room, everybody in this country is aware that for decades now, this country, and really in a certain sense, this world is grappling with an enormous issue, right? How to think about sex, sexuality, right? And this is an issue that has to do with things that are not merely matters of policy, not merely matters of educational policy or governmental policy. These are issues that cut to the core of what human beings are. What is a man? What is a woman? Is there such a thing? Right? Dr. Judith Butler, the famous philosopher in the 1980s and 1990s, right, introduced what is now called gender theory, right? Working on the basis of earlier philosophers like Michel Foucault, right? And Butler's contention is that there is no men, that there are no women, right? That all of us sort of dress ourselves up in a certain way to appear the way that we feel inside, but that we might change the way we feel inside. We may feel differently. Right? And that what matters, as the saying goes, is not what's between my legs, but what's between my ears. Right? But in making that statement, right, which is inherent in the educational standards that are described in the 2020 curriculum, right? To talk about gender expression with second graders, right? Like I have a child who's in second grade. I happen to have a child who's in second grade, fifth grade, and eighth grade, as a matter of fact, right? The things that are being discussed in this curriculum are not simply matters of health. They cut to the core of what human beings are. They have to do with not only philosophy, but religion, morality, things that have to do with how a person views the entire world around them, their own body, other people's bodies, what they should do with their life or shouldn't do with their life. These are core issues that cut to the quick of what a human being is. And yes, it's quite true that the parents in our community who have adopted children, who experience same-sex attraction, who identify themselves as LGBTQ, they care about their families, their friends just as much as everybody else, and everybody here knows that, right? But here's the point. It's not the school's place. It's not Trenton, it's not Trenton's place. It's not the school's place. It's not even the federal government's place to be deciding what children learn from the very earliest ages. Practically as soon as they learn how to wave bye-bye and tie their shoes, they're learning things that have to do with how they view themselves and everyone else around them. It is the home is the place for children to learn those things. Every child eventually has to learn about these things, but it's up to their parents to figure out the best way to talk about these things with them. It's not the place of educators, even educators like my mom, who care very much about the children that they work with every day. My mom would lay down in front of a train for any of the children that she taught in school for 22 years. She gave her all to them, and so would everybody here on this board. All of you are educators, and most of you have children. But it's a parent's place to talk about these incredibly important things with a child, not the place of a school, even a school that has the best interests.
Thank you. Rocco, Lucio.
Good evening. My name is Rocco Riccio, and I lived at 177 Regina Avenue.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. It's a lively group, isn't it? That's passion. Tells you that Hamiltonians still care about their children's education. That being said, Dr. Rocco referred to the lack of interest by our college students to get into education. I bet you they were discouraged by teachers not to get into education. I know that because I'm a teacher in a school district that borders in Trenton, borders Hamilton. And I always thought, living in the area most of my life, that Hamilton had better and higher standards. Go to find out, you don't. How many parents know here about a grading system that's called not less than 50? You know what that is? That means that no student for a project, assignment, test score, or quiz can be given less than 50%. They walk through the door, or they don't have to walk through the door. They just have to be on a roster. You know what that averages out to? 3 homework assignments a semester, and they'll get 60 to pass with a D. Okay? Do you know how demoralizing that is for a teacher? Knowing that we have to prepare our classes, we have to grade, we have to do all this prep work, and a student that we barely ever see, won't participate, is going to get 50% just for being there. And a student who has parents that are concerned about their education, is striving, is trying to get the A, wants to better himself. You're trying to bring that student down to that person who's just barely there. Something else I learned about as a teacher, try to fail a student. You'll have every administrator in that building and above come at you to fill out AIPs and other forms. They make it impossible. So why is there a lack of teachers? It's a lack of respect for the teachers. They're not happy. They don't feel appreciated. And it comes from the top down. But getting to the issue at hand that most people are here about, can parents opt their kids out of every class? I know a lot of students that would want to be in math class right now. Okay, do they have that option? And what would be the stigma for those children who are in those family life classes? You want to talk about bullying? No. You're going in the wrong direction. You're going in the wrong direction. We have to get back to the point of appreciating our best students and raising them up so that they achieve and are the best achievers in our society, because our future relies on them to succeed in life. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Tavlaris. Jessica? Is there Jessica here? No? Okay. Jordan. I can't make out the last name. Jordan? No, somebody else. Terry Moon? That's somebody else. There's a different Moon. That was James Moon. Okay. What? Okay. Ben Grilletto?
Frank
Good
Galeto
evening.
from 414 Arnold Drive. I wanted to thank the board members for allowing me the time to address you here today. I'll keep this quick. I know I don't have a lot of time. Proud parent of 2 boys, ages 12 and 9, who would be directly impacted by this curriculum that we're discussing here tonight. I struggled with what to say here. What could I say that these wonderful people haven't already said about this vile, disgusting curriculum that is being proposed? And so I prayed about this. I prayed about this, and the answer that I got was speak truth. We seem to be lacking in truth in today's society here. And so I'm going to speak truth, and not what I believe to be true, not what you believe to be true, or anyone else here. There's only one source of truth, and that truth comes from God. And so we're going to speak a little bit about truth tonight. Truth number 1, Genesis 1:27. God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. This seems to be a very difficult thing in today's society to understand and grasp. So let me repeat that. Male and female, he created them. To teach anything else, which this curriculum does, is a lie, and everybody knows it. So let's start speaking truth here. Become brilliantly ignorant to the truth. Truth number 2, 3 John chapter 1, verses 3 through 4. For I was overjoyed when some brethren came and testified of truth in you. How are you walking in the truth? I have no greater joy than this, to hear that my children are walking in truth. This curriculum is not walking in truth. This curriculum is a bunch of deception, lies to contaminate the truth and confuse our children. I heard someone talking here about how do we have a committee here to help our children make better decisions. You want to help them make better decisions? Stop encouraging them with this divisive, disgusting pornography in school. Teach them old school value traditions. Get this stuff out of the school system. Stop teaching them about things that encourage them to get on puberty blockers and other mind-altering medications. Truth number 3, and we should all listen to truth number 3. Matthew 18, verse 6. But whoever causes one of these little ones who trusts in me to stumble, it would be better for him to have a heavy millstone hung around his neck and be sunk in the depth of the sea. These are the little red words in the Bible, so this is coming directly from Jesus. For those of you on this board who call yourselves God-fearing individuals, but think that this curriculum is okay to teach children, are you willing, when your judgment time comes in, it will come for all of us at some point, are you willing to answer for this decision? I know I wouldn't be. So I ask yourself that question. And for those of you who think I might just be some religious nut, I'm going to pray for you because you need some help and guidance.
Thank you.
And I just want to say one thing here. We were at the last meeting. We're going to be at the next meeting and the meeting after that. And this crowd is growing and growing and growing. We are not going away. And I'm going to take it one step further. I don't want an opt-in. We don't want an opt-in. We want it abolished. Get rid of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're done.
We're done?